Welcome, fellow yappers, to the Late Night Yap, where I yap about all the wildest Reddit stories. This is my first episode, and I'm hoping to build a community of yappers who love reading Reddit stories and all that hot tea just like I do. Check in every Tuesday and Thursday for Late Night Yap episodes and a live stream every Sunday at 11. I'll also be posting all the stories I read on my social medias as well, so make sure that you give me a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We also have a subreddit for the podcast, so just search r/late night yap. I am new to this, obviously. And as the very first episode, I'm still learning a lot and trying my best. So I hope that you enjoy this episode and stick around long enough to watch me get better as I go. Now that our introduction is over, let's go ahead and get into our first story. Am I the asshole for using a firm tone with my wife when I said I'm still celebrating my mom on Mother's Day? My wife and I are expecting our second child, and we already have a toddler. I truly appreciate her and love taking care of her and had planned to celebrate her this Mother's Day. I did what a supportive partner and father should do. I planned out special activities and picked up some thoughtful gifts she had been wanting. However, a few days ago, before Mother's Day, and again on the day itself, she told me that she didn't want to share Mother's Day with my mom. She was upset that I planned to attend the brunch my siblings and I were organizing for our mother, which is a long-standing family tradition. My wife wanted me to skip it entirely so that she could have the day to herself. The thing is, my mom isn't overbearing or the type to interfere. In fact, my siblings' wives had great relationships with her. That's why I couldn't understand what the issue was. I tried being empathetic, and I also stood my ground. I told my wife that this day was celebrating all mothers, not just one, and I wasn't going to exclude mine to make her feel more special. I invited her to the brunch, and she chose not to come and decided to stay home. That was her decision. I wasn't trying to stop her from enjoying her day. I still celebrated her, helped her put together a lovely package for her own mom, who's currently traveling, and made sure that she felt appreciated. But I didn't feel that it was fair to ignore my own mother and cater to her demands. Things escalated. She was furious and has been giving me the cold shoulder. She confronted me saying that I was harsh in how I put my point across. I disagree. I believe in being honest and direct. I wasn't being mean or trying to belittle her. I was being clear about not letting anyone, including her, erase the importance of my own mother on a day meant to honor all mothers. Now she is upset about my tone, which to me feels like a distraction from the main issue. When you don't have a solid argument, focusing on tone can feel like an attempt to shift the conversation. I still stand by what I said and how I said it. Being clear doesn't always sound gentle, but that doesn't make it wrong. So, am I the asshole for choosing to celebrate my mom on Mother's Day instead of making solely about my wife? What would you do in this situation? To me, honestly, it seems like you guys don't have very clear communication, especially when you have a toddler and your wife is expecting. So that means she's pregnant and she's asking you for a day to celebrate her. I feel like, yes, it's selfish on her part to tell you that you can't go to a brunch with your mother, but at the same time, I feel like you could also just maybe sit down and ask her, like, do you want me to take the toddler to brunch with my siblings and my mom so that you can have a break that morning? That way you can get the coffee ready and have her up without a toddler. I feel like maybe that's what she was asking you, but you decided to close off your ears and you weren't listening to what she was trying to tell you. Man, I don't think that you're an asshole for celebrating your mother, but I think the way that you went about the situation and completely dismissing your pregnant wife's feelings was a bit of an asshole move, and probably why your wife is upset with you. So, there's also that. On to the next story. Am I the asshole for pointing out a fecal smear on my partner's bathroom window. What do you mean? Backstory: my partner has three boys and a father that live in a house, and in my opinion, it's disgusting. The first 5 months of our relationship, I stayed there often, and I cleaned and put in the effort to help him have a more sanitary home. No one else helps. And if I'm being honest, I felt like his father would intentionally make more messes because I was cleaning. So I stopped. I don't criticize him or say anything except that I prefer to be at my house and that I am not comfortable with that level of mess. I wonder what the house looks like. So let's see. He's got three boys, the partner, so the dad and the father. So it's four, two men and three boys that live in that house. Do they, I guess they don't clean? I don't know. Last week he expressed that he was angry that we never stay there when we're together. Well, it's kind of on you, bud. We happened to stop there this weekend and I used the restroom. I looked to my right, and at eye level was a smear of dried number two. The bathroom as a whole is what you would expect from a house of two men and three little boys. See, that's what I was saying. They don't clean. Teach your boys how to clean. Don't be dirty. Thank you. There is zero chance no one else noticed this. They just don't care. So could you imagine going to somebody's house and then just seeing somebody finger painted poop on their window? Like how does that even happen? Like are you wiping with your bare hand down there and you're just like, here we go, number two, like no toilet paper. Hello? What is happening? So I went with him and jokingly said, if you're ever wondering why I'm not comfortable here, just take a look at the bathroom window, and that's my answer. This turned into a huge fight, and he's embarrassed to have me even use the restroom there in all of the words. He said I shouldn't have said anything. Am I the asshole for pointing out a poop smear? Man, not the asshole, dude. Like, what? I honestly, there is something that needs to be studied about grown men and not wanting to clean a house that they pay to live in. Like you pay for that. You pay to live in that. And you like that? That's gross. Like clean up after yourself and please teach your sons to clean up after themselves. Not the asshole. And I think you guys need to break up because that's gross. They're not willing to clean. Absolutely not. I don't even know what to say about that. It's just gross. So the comments say, not the asshole, obviously. First comment says, dump him. That's disgusting, right? Literally, dump him. Absolutely not. If he's embarrassed, there's a good reason to be, right? Like, how are you embarrassed that I don't want to come to your house because there's poop on the window, dude? Like, how does that even happen? I don't understand how that even happens. Girl, is this really how you want to live? Move on from these slobs. OP says, he says it's his dad and kids, and his dad is next level disgusting for sure. Well, there's a reason why they don't have any women in the house, that's for sure. Next comment says, not the asshole. Ew, just ew. If he's so embarrassed, then why doesn't he clean up? I would definitely not stay there anymore if that's that disgusting. Not the asshole. Ew. Just ew. If he's so embarrassed, then why doesn't he clean up? I would definitely not stay there anymore if it's that disgusting. You are not their maid, so you shouldn't be responsible for cleaning up their house for them. Gross. OP replied, I don't. At first, I felt bad that he had so much on his plate, and I love to clean, so I helped a lot. Like all of it. But I'd leave for the day and come back, and it is a disaster. One weekend, his dad left an entire pot of chicken noodle soup opened on the counter. Literally one of the most laziest things I have ever seen. I quit staying there after 5 months because nobody ever picks up for themselves. They just watch me do it. I have a larger home, 3 kids of my own, and 2 dogs. I don't think it's fair that he comes to my house and it doesn't have to do anything to feel comfortable, and I have to do 2 hours of cleaning at his just to be able to sit on the furniture. Yeah, see, that's a lot, dude. Like, you have 3 kids and 2 dogs. I'm assuming that you live alone, and then you have to go to your boyfriend's house and clean up after him, another 3 kids and 2 grown men. That's crazy. I don't think so. My neighbors just got home, so you're gonna have to listen to them stomp, I guess. And it is 12 o'clock in the morning, and they're throwing stuff and stomping. Great. Well, they're on camera now. Can't wait to move. Now let's get on to our next story. Am I the asshole for wanting my boyfriend to fire our employee who told me she has a crush on him? My boyfriend and I own a business and work together. One of his direct employees used to go out of her way to talk to me daily at the office. I thought she was just being friendly. Eventually, she invited me to brunch outside of work. Everything was normal until mid conversation, she casually told me she has a huge crush on my boyfriend, her direct boss, and my boyfriend. I was stunned and said nothing at the time, but looking back, I feel like I should have shut it down. She knows we are together. Why would she intentionally cause drama? Since then, it's been incredibly awkward between us, and she doesn't stop by my office anymore. But now I can't unsee the way that she acts around my boyfriend, lingering outside his office, going to him with her personal problems, being overly flirty. It just doesn't sit right with me. Recently, my boyfriend said that he doesn't really have any work for her anymore, but can't let her go because she's on a work visa. I get that it's a complicated situation, but honestly, I don't care. I feel disrespected and uncomfortable, and I kind of just want her gone. So, am I the asshole for not caring about her visa situation and wanting her to be fired? Whew. Well, you're better than me because had she sat me down at a brunch or wherever you guys went and told me straight to my face that she's like, "Oh, yeah, by the way, I have a crush on your boyfriend," and then openly just like, "Oh, I'm gonna flirt with him." Like, babe, if you're on a work visa, that means that you're, working. Like, like, if you weren't working anymore, you'd have to go back to your country, right? So why would you want to put your job at jeopardy like that? It just doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. So the comments had mixed reviews. Says you're the asshole. I mean, yeah, I would say you can't fire somebody for them flirting with your boyfriend. Now, if she was just terrible at her job, that would be up to the boss to decide whether or not they wanted them to stay as an employee. But first comment says you're the asshole, an insecure one at that. Either you trust your guy or you don't. He can't fire someone just because they're attracted to him. Second comment says he can if there isn't any work for her. Not, yeah, I mean, not really. She's on a work visa, so they are under contract. So even if he doesn't have work for her, if he's contractually signed that she has to be at work, there's nothing that they can do about it until their contract is like, you know, up. Now, I do believe in Florida is an at-will work state, but I don't know how like a work visa would work for that. So I don't know. If you do know, let me know in the comments. And I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of like back and forth between, yeah, you're an asshole, but you can't fire somebody because of that. But at the same time, like, she's also an asshole. Like, who does that? Who goes to somebody's face and just is like, I like your boyfriend, by the way. Oh, and I'm gonna flirt with him right in front of you at work. So Another comment says, I'm amazed at some of you for saying that this woman crossed a huge line of boundary with his wife, is seeking her out, tell her that is inappropriate, unprofessional. It's also a huge liability to the company. Human resources needs to be brought up to speed so that they are aware of the situation, and the woman should be removed from working with him. She clearly has no self-control. I mean, yeah, like if you're there on a work visa, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, you're there to work. You're not there to like flirt with your boss. It just, I don't know, it doesn't seem right to me. But most of these comments here are saying that she's the asshole. So, and then there's other comments of people fighting with each other about her not being the asshole. So, I don't know. Some are saying that she's immature for wanting her to get fired, which I don't really know if that would make you immature. I mean, it's your boyfriend that somebody is trying to like flirt with in front of you. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, you guys. That one was it's kind of a tricky one, I guess. It's a very uncomfortable situation to be in for sure. So, for our next story, I would like to add a trigger warning. This one does contain self harm, so if you would like to skip it and go to the next story, please do so now. I keep lying about my mental health and telling everybody that I'm okay. I've struggled with my mental health since I was 10 and my mom died. I've spent a prolonged time in foster care for the last 5.5 years, and I've just moved back home to my dad's after a sustained period of him being clean from drugs. My life is better now than it has been in the last 5.5 years. I was severely emotionally neglected at my foster placement and sometimes just plain neglected. I've self-harmed since I was 10. I felt better for a while after I moved home. It feels nice to be loved for a change. But every day of my life, I feel this deep, kneeing loneliness that no matter what I do, the second I stop doing something or speaking to people, I just feel like an empty pit full of nothing and but loneliness. I feel like my life isn't worth the trouble for everybody else. I feel like a burden on everyone around me, including my parents and coworkers and friends. I feel like a burden for having issues when my friends have them too, but sometimes I think about how nobody would notice if I died. It would hurt for a while, but everybody would get over it eventually. It wouldn't hurt forever. My own mom died when I was 10, and everyone else seems to have forgotten about her. Eventually, they'd forget about me as well. That's such a sad story. I just want you to know that you're not the only one that feels that way. There are other people out there who have felt exactly the same way that you feel. I want you to know that giving up is not the right answer. You have such a full life to live. I think definitely going to therapy might help. Talking out all of those feelings that you have and just being able to understand why that you feel that way. You lost somebody very important to you. Losing a parent at any age isn't easy. First comment says, what is your mom's name and what was your favorite memory of her, if that's okay to ask? Just want to make the point that her story matters, your story matters, your peace, your joy, your strength, your resilience, your pain, your tears, your wounds, your dreams, they all matter. Death sucks because it really does feel like time forgets people, but it shouldn't be like that. There's a quote from Naruto that I think is super important. It's the pain arc. If you are a Naruto fan, then you know what I'm talking about. Where he says that you can't understand somebody else's pain unless you've also been through that pain. There are some people out there who just may not understand what you're feeling, but I promise you, you will find your people. I think that story was really important to share because there's so many people out there that have felt like that before. When we're in those types of situations in that headspace, we do need a community of people that can come together and say, hey, you deserve to be here. Even if I don't know you, you deserve to be here. I RSVP'd no to my brother's wedding and it's causing a huge stir in the family. I RSVP'd no to my older brother's destination wedding. Then he uninvited me after my RSVP and a series of disrespectful group texts with his fiance on the chat. Here's some context. I got diagnosed with lupus recently after 6 ER visits and months of being admitted due to stuff like heart failure, seizures, extreme swelling, blood transfusions, etc. And since lupus affects everyone in different ways, I have have been testing my limits of how far I can push my body while trying to build a lifestyle that prevents flare-ups as much as possible. So earlier this year, I went on a vacation and I basically just stayed in bed for like 2 days. When I got my destination, because the journey itself thought just a car ride in a plane was challenging on my body. Basically, I'm in pain every day. It's a 3 out of 10 on my best days, and I'm being rushed to the ER on my worst days. But I push through the pain and I work a full-time job. I push through and try to live life as normally as possible. I'm also legally blind, so I push through a lot of pain and vision issues to lead a normal life. Thing is, my family is not getting this. I don't complain, but I do make it a point to educate them on what's going on, not so that they can take care of me, but that so that they can understand when I can't be/do what they expect me to do. Now comes my older brother. He has hurt me a lot growing up, always treated me differently than he has treated my other brothers, hit me when I refused to lend him money. He hit you because you didn't want to give him money? Oh, stood me up on my birthday recently, laughed at me with his step siblings when I opened up about how hurt I felt by his actions as a brother, told my mom all the things I confided in him, left me out on the street at night when I was 17. Dude, you just said you were blind and he left you outside at 17 in the night, and he was supposed to be my ride in a strange country. Oh my gosh. Dude, your brother stresses me out. How you have not cut him out of your life already is appalling. Usually I try to gain his approval by just letting him go and being cool again, but I finally come to a place where I'm like, fuck that. My health before anything else. My peace before anything else. So I'm prioritizing myself. His wedding is coming up, and I'll be honest, I could never power through the pain on that day and travel for the wedding and decide in my heart that I'll rather risk a flare up again than miss his wedding. I couldn't make that decision, but I chose not to. I chose not to power through the pain for him, not anymore. I chose myself this time around. I feel selfish. You are not selfish. Your brother is selfish. Maybe I am. But everyone that hears I RSVP'd no is so shocked. I mean, did they not see what he did to you? I have a valid reason for not going, but still, I can take the risk for someone that I love. Thing is, after the way he has treated me, I'll never sacrifice even a piece of my candy for him. I'm forgiving him in my heart for my own peace of mind, and I'm keeping him far away from me. Well, I told him and his fiance I'm sorry I can't attend because I'm prioritizing my health, which he knows about, obviously. I mean, your brother just seems like a real piece of work. And I wish them all the best on their new journey. He replied by mocking me, saying, "Who is this? Who invited you?" I thought he was being silly, but soon realized he just wanted to demean me in front of his fiance. He then uninvited me and sarcastically told me to focus on my health. Usually, I just ignore his BS, but today I had had enough. So I replied, "Leave me alone and don't talk about my health like you give a shit. And don't act like I'm so pressed to attend the wedding of a brother that has done nothing but treat me like shit. You wish I attended? Don't text back. You're blocked." Now everyone is asking me how dare I RSVP no. Like they're all so shocked. I'm just standing my ground, but that ground is shaky. Should I fold and apologize and get myself re-invited and just keep the peace with my family? My immediate answer is fuck no, but I want to make sure that I'm not being a huge asshole here. Yeah, you're definitely not. That's not my character, and I have no problem apologizing if I am. What is there to apologize about? I don't, yeah, there is nothing here that you would need to apologize for. Your brother sounds like a major asshole, dude. Moving on to our next story, because that story has ended and there are no more comments, and I do believe it's been deleted because I could not find the story again. My boyfriend shamed me for having my hair removed. Female 18, boyfriend male 20 of only 3 months. Girl, why do you care about this man's opinion? You've only been together for 3 months. Dump him. Recently asked me how I'm always completely hairless. I told him honestly that I did a full body laser hair removal for nearly 2 years. I got this done when I was 15 to 17, and he got weird and literally called me a whore for it. I was shocked, and I'm not sure how to feel or if I should be hearing him out on this. Was I overreacting? It felt really disrespectful. You don't really call your girlfriend girlfriend a whore because she had laser hair removal. It sounds like he's just mad that he couldn't get his own hair removed. My partner and I are together for 5 years now. Both our marriages were long over before we got together, but we were still living with our spouses at the time we were neighbors. A few months later, we decided to live together when I inherited a house, and initially his two adult sons had no problem with the relationship, but his ex-wife was not happy about it because I was local. Eventually, my partner's two sons stopped communicating with him, and close neighbors blanked us as well. His sons didn't contact him for over 2 years, even on special occasions like Christmas or his 60th birthday. And even when he was seriously ill, where he nearly died and was in recovery for several months, eventually they started communicating again when he agreed to sign over all of his assets, house, farm, etc., to his ex and sons. We had a lot of plans for ourselves and the future marriage, but when he agreed to their demands, that all changed. We have argued a lot about this because I think his ex has manipulated the sons in order for him to meet her demands. His eldest son is soon to be wed, and my partner has told me I'm not invited, as it would make other people uncomfortable, including him. I was really hurt by this because I was led to believe that he would stand by me no matter what, and we were a team. I feel like I'm being treated like a bit on the side now while he's off appeasing his ex and sons, and I feel he's letting me down on our future plans as well. I have now said to him that our relationship is over if he goes along with this, and he needs to sort it out. I'm not asking him to choose me over his sons, but they have no reason to dislike me, as we have never even met. You never met his sons? All they know is what they have been told or heard. I don't care about going to the wedding, but it's the final straw in a long list of letdowns and false promises. I think he's afraid to have it out with them about me because he doesn't want to risk jeopardizing the relationship. So am I the asshole for giving him this ultimatum under the circumstances? And we have an update. Thank you all for the comments. It's not possible to reply to each one, so I just want to clarify firstly that we didn't have an affair. Okay, yeah, I think that's what we were all wondering. Perhaps in some people's eyes it's an affair, but if you're still residing with your ex even though you live separate lives. Our exes were very aware of the relationship from the offset, and it was fine until we decided to live together. He had other relationships before me, but they didn't materialize into anything long term. My ex has no issue with my partner and are friendly when they meet. We're not living in the US, so here people don't get legal separations anymore, as it is a similar lengthy process to a divorce, and your marriage needs to be over 2 years before you can apply for divorce, which is a lengthy process in itself. So legally speaking, we're both still married. My divorce is in motion, but he says he will start his divorce after the wedding. I have no interest in his son's weddings, nor do I want a forced invite. I wouldn't go anyways. It's not the point, and I have told him it's not about the wedding at all, but it's this wedding that has again highlighted where I stand in his life. He shared his plans for his funeral as well, which didn't include me either. Now he says he can arrange for me to attend his funeral if I want to, because this is another thing I'm upset about. I'm not interested in his wealth, as I have equally my own, and as we stand, we have no entitlement to each other's assets either. But I also don't want to marry someone who will have nothing to bring to the table if he decides to sign over all his assets in advance. I hope this clarifies some of the confusion, and thanks again for all the comments. Wait, no, I don't have the comments. No! To me, it sounds like your guys' relationship was kind of, I don't know, but he's also, you said he's 60. 60-year-old men are like that, girl. That's just how they are. Boomers. That's the boomer territory there. You ain't getting nothing. Nothing that you say, he don't care. He ain't gonna listen. Kind of seems like you guys had an affair, or at least somebody in that situation sees it as an affair. That one's also pretty tricky for me to kind of, do I think you're an asshole? Do I think you're not an asshole? I mean, in some aspects, yes, because it is his stuff. When you're that age and you're planning out your will and all that kind of stuff, wouldn't you want to add the new wife that you're gonna be with? Could understand if he already had prior funeral arrangements divorce with his ex-wife and the kids want their tombstones together, I mean, you can't really have an input or say on that because that's what the kids would want for their parents. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think about that story. Am I the asshole? So, of course, Mother's Day was this past weekend. 2 weeks ago, my husband bought himself a large, expensive tattoo. More than our mortgage. How much is your mortgage, girl? On Mother's Day, he purchased himself a top-of-the-line lawn edger and all of the attachments. He bought the edger with a large Visa gift card he had gotten from work. He is very fortunate to have a very cushy job, and this type of perk is commonplace. It was not a gift from a client or a boss. It was not earned or a contest. Simply a perk from his company. You can use his gift card if you want, right? On Mother's Day, he had our 3 kids, 3 and 6, draw me a picture, and he gave me a card. He made breakfast for us and changed our 3-year-old's diaper when he woke up in the morning. He still wears one to bed. Gifts are a love language for me, and my husband certainly knows that. I don't care about the cost. It doesn't have to be fancy. I just want to feel thought of and loved. The most thoughtful gift I ever received cost less than $10, and I still cry when I talk about it. My feelings were hurt that he didn't give me any sort of gift, and he said I was being selfish because the gift was making us breakfast and changing our child's diaper. Excuse me? Changing the child's diaper? That's not a gift. When I brought up that it was hurtful for him to go out of his way to buy himself an expensive gift on Mother's Day, not to mention the tattoo, he said he budgeted for the tattoo and I was being spoiled. Am I the asshole for buying my own gift? You bought your own gift? What did you buy? Before we get into the comments here, changing your child's diaper on Mother's Day is not a freaking gift, you guys. That's parenting. And newsflash, your wife does it every day. So, top comment says, he doesn't sound like somebody I would want to be married to. Facts. Partner is only doing that on Mother's Day for you and then calling it a gift. It's not a real gift. That's just them doing the bare minimum, and you shouldn't have to force somebody to give you that. The comment replying to that one says, changing the diaper was a gift. What a joke of a father. Another comment says, he doesn't sound like he wants to be married to her. She deserves better. Your husband sucks, not the asshole. Am I the asshole for divorcing my husband after finding out I am not biologically our child's mom? I can't believe my life has come to this. All I ever do is go out of my way to help others, but on a few occasions I need help. No one ever comes through for me. I, 36 female, have been with my husband, 35 male, for a total of almost 10 years, married for 7. We had what I thought was my child by surrogate over 2 years ago. Oh, that's oof. Let me get let me get in a more comfy position. This is gonna be a wild ride. Because after 4 years of trying to conceive with no success, despite medical interventions, it turns out I am unable to carry a child to term. I had always wanted to be a mom. Devastated is an understatement regarding how I felt when I found out I have a medical condition that would make it nearly impossible to carry a baby to term. It was even more upsetting when I had to get a major surgery to remove uterine growths in the hopes to increase fertility, and complications during surgery warranted a partial hysterectomy involving removal of my uterus only. I still had my ovaries, so we started looking into cost of a surrogate. It was really expensive. My close friend since college, who already had 2 kids of her own, offered to serve as a surrogate for us to cut down on costs. After 2 disappointing IVF sessions that did not result in pregnancy, she became pregnant on the 3rd try and carried a boy to term for us. I was so happy and busy after the birth. Between being a mom and returning to work after a 4-week parent leave, I didn't notice any warning signs. I should have noticed the red flags and warning signs early on, but did not because I was so exhausted from working so much at my stressful job and 2 part-time jobs to cover most of the bills and anticipated medical and legal costs associated with this friend becoming our surrogate. I was the primary breadwinner. Oh my gosh. So you work a full-time job, 2 part-time jobs, and you're full-time with this kid? Man, man, girl, what does your husband even do? My friend and my husband started talking more, and I would sometimes come home from my weekend job to find her already hanging out at our house when my husband was there. I chalked it up as innocuous, and it's good for her to know my husband better since she was in the process of hopefully carrying our child for us. I was grateful to have someone helping us have a child. I also thought it weird that our son has brown eyes when both of us have blue. Then I found out that while this is uncommon, it's possible due to many genes controlling the eye color. Recently, it all came to a head when I took our son to a doctor's appointment and they did a metabolic panel and blood test which showed that he had a blood type that is not biologically possible to have with me as his mother. He's B plus, I'm A plus. Husband is O plus. Immediately, I started worrying that it was the fertility clinic's fault and that they messed up and implanted the wrong embryo. I started lining up lawyer consultations to possibly sue the clinic and looked into having a DNA parentage test done. The test results showed that I'm not the mother, but my husband is still the father. I was heartbroken and angrier than ever. Talked to lawyers about medical malpractice in the fertility clinic that we used. Then my husband confessed that he'd slept with my friend, our surrogate, on a few different occasions during our struggle to have her get pregnant with our embryos. This means what I thought was our son conceived by IVF and carried with a surrogate isn't my son at all, and in fact was conceived the old-fashioned way, which I can't ever do. Livid and absolutely broken at the same time doesn't even begin to describe how I feel. I have been breaking down, crying over and over again about this. He claims he didn't ever think pregnancy could result because he pulled out and had always assumed that he was the reason for our earlier struggles to conceive, both before my hysterectomy and during the IVF insemination process with this friend. I felt immediate triple betrayal from what was supposed to be my husband, my friend, and now knowing my child isn't even really mine. I had such hot white rage. I immediately left home and stayed in a hotel for almost a week before asking my parents to come let me stay home for a while. I admit I left our son with him. I am now filing for divorce because he cheated and betrayed me in the worst way possible. If you break your vows is any grounds for divorce in a marriage. I have also cut off my friendship with my friend, the surrogate, and feel afraid to trust anyone else now. I have seen a divorce lawyer to see about giving up my legal rights to this kid. I don't have to so I don't have to face such betrayal or owe child support. My husband and friend slash surrogate admit they were wrong and keep apologizing, but also called me immature and heartless just to give up on my son like that. My parents also say that I can't give up on the kid that I went through so many legal medical hoops to have. But it's not her kid though, biologically. When I told them I refused to stay in a cheater marriage and that I'd rather adopt someday with a better, more trustworthy partner, they also told me I was wrong and that maintaining my parental rights isn't much different than if I adopted outright. They say that it isn't blood that makes a family. They are all about me divorcing my cheater husband, but keep telling me I'm making a mistake giving up my parental rights. Some of my other friends agree with what I'm doing, and a few admitted that they weren't big enough to swallow pride and care for an affair baby or to see daily reminders of my friend slash surrogate's betrayal every time I look at her son. Right, that is their kid that they conceived the old-fashioned way. Like she said, there was no, yes, they went through IVF treatments, but at the same time, honestly, when you go through the divorce, I would be asking for compensation for all of those treatments that you paid for. They obviously were not doing the treatments like they were supposed to be. I just want to get a clean break and a fresh start. I'm also looking at relocating several states away. Am I the asshole to give up my parental rights in the divorce because a kid I paid a lot of money to have born by surrogacy isn't biologically mine at all, but the surrogates? Sue your husband for all the money that you paid for IVF treatments and then also sue her. Fraud. That's fraud. And then she still passed it off as if it was your child. Top comment says, yeah, you gotta do what's right for you here. And OP said, so I'm not the asshole. No, Absolutely not. He feels like biological maternity shouldn't matter that much. Oh, okay. So OP said he feels like biological maternity shouldn't matter that much when it means I am finally fulfilling my dream of becoming a mother. He says that if I adopt someday, that I am still going to have to raise a child that is not biologically mine. But it's not the same though. Your partner didn't cheat with your friend. He has reminded me about what a depressive wreck I was during the infertility, the aftermath of my partial hysterectomy, and how I put him through the ringer because I was obsessed with wanting to have a child. He claims that I pushed him away with my baby obsession and that he couldn't deal with me anymore, and that's why he started spraying the way he did. He also said that I just can't turn my back on a child when I legally signed all the paperwork, which is similar to adoption paperwork since the state doesn't readily recognize a child born to a surrogate to be the couple's child. Yeah, that's true. The surrogates have to sign over their rights from the child, which also protects the family who's taking the child so that the surrogate can't come back and say, that's my kid and I want it back. They base it on the person who gave birth to the child as being the legal mother until the paperwork is signed that transfers the rights over. He also claimed that I'm going to have a difficult battle ahead of me trying to reverse that. Actually, she's not because the child isn't biologically hers. So I don't think that OP's husband understands what IVF is and how it works. So they're planting her egg into another woman, which means the baby won't have any biological like she's an incubator. So it's still the DNA of the mother who is OP and the father. She has blood work that proves the baby is not biologically hers, which means that the child was not conceived under IVF, which means all of the paperwork she signed is nullified. Just saying. So OP said the only paperwork that was legally drafted was her transferring over the parental rights to us, much like an adoption, in the event that there is already a mutual off-the-books agreement to adopt from somebody already personally known. We were trying to do it as cheap as possible because we don't make much money, and the cost that couldn't be avoided were sky high enough to the point I took out loans from the bank and then picked up 2 part-time jobs on the side to pay towards these loans. She's not married. He actually had the audacity to claim that my depression and obsession with pregnancy and having a kid pushed him away. He also said he felt deprived of affection because I was working so much, even though I was the primary breadwinner and only responsible spouse for keeping up with the bills. So we have a 5 month later update. I'm not staying and I'm not caring for him anymore. I was not even offered a choice in the matter at all, which is why I kept telling myself I shouldn't want to compare myself to men in a similar type of parentage situation, and I have kept myself aloof towards the boy I thought was mine. I have no legal rights anymore, no matter what, because she fought to get her son back. What? No. So she wanted the baby back? Wait, okay, OP with the 5 month return. I'm actually a lot more upset about losing this child than I presented in my post, and I'm realizing more and more with each passing day the choice wasn't mine and I lost. I posted that I wouldn't want to be the sucker raising someone else's kid as more of a cope than anything else. She got to have her kid, he left me, and I'm stuck with nothing. Here's the top comments from readers in response to OP's update. That's not true. You started a new beginning without those people. You're still young and have hope. The last comment says, oh, don't worry. Karma is a B word. You didn't lose anything. That man is useless. So leaving him is a blessing in disguise. You should sue her too because she lied and even took your money. All right, you guys. It's about that time we start wrapping up this episode for tonight. I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined and those of you that stayed and listened, and I hope to see you next time. Also, don't forget, if you liked this video, make sure that you subscribe and like the video so that I can continue making more videos like this and so that you'll see more of my videos. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope you have a good night. Bye!